All right, boys and girls, hope you've worked hard on your phonics lesson and you were able to come up with 6 pictures with L blends on them. Hope you did some nice drawing and coloring on those. We'll be seeing a lot of those in our readers. Now let's move on and talk some about our math lesson. If you have page 103, on the back is 104. Again, Mom and Dad, I mentioned our Abeka curriculum goes through many of the skills that we've seen. So on every paper, you probably start seeing the same math skills. Again, boys and girls, we have add and addition. We're trying to learn these quickly, so make sure you're working on those, getting those locked in your brain. Mom and Dad, any kind of anytime you have a few minutes, and you can just even say them out loud. 2 + 1 = 6 + 3 =, so that they hear it and work on it. That's something we would do in the classroom. Of course, we would also do it visually too. So both of those are just good, helpful reminders. And again, if they're still using their fingers or manipulatives, that's all right too. We're continuing to work on those. Those are just little extra strategies. A game we might play, beat the teacher, something quick where we're learning, going around the classroom, doing an addition, anything to kind of mix it up a little bit other than just kind of going through the problems. This, of course, is important too, but something to mix it up a little bit. Our clocks that we see, we're continuing this week to talk about telling time. We had already learned how to tell time to the hour. Remember, that hour hand is the short, the minute hand is the long hand. And again, I know a lot of us have digital clocks. We have our phones, so we have the microwave, the stove might have it. But again, another skill that we do need to have, make sure is using a clock like this to tell the time. Quick reminder, boys and girls, remember our numbers start with 1 and go all the way to 12 on our clock. And when we're counting, we count by fives when we're moving to each number. So if it was 5 o'clock, we would move it and we would count 5, help me out, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And you noticed as I move that minute, that hour hand's going to move. It's not going to stay right there on the 5. It's going to move. And Mom and Dad, that's sometimes tricky for them to get because it used to stay right there and it moves. All right. I was at 30. Help me out some more. 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. We just went around 1 hour. And of course, now you can see that number. Say it with me. Should be saying 6 o'clock. All right. We also learned, sorry, I've got my marker down here. When it was 5 o'clock, this was super easy. We did 5. They always gave us those dots to divide it. 0, 0 is how we read o'clock. Pretty simple. Read that with me, boys and girls. 5 o'clock. But when we moved that minute hand and it traveled down, it became, and I'll show it to you on my clock in just a minute, it became 5. The dots stay the same, but we write a 3 and a 0. That's a 30. It's in the 30, beginning 30 family, a 3 and a 0. And we would read that 5:30. 5 o'clock, 5:30. Let me show you with that on my clock. Okay, we've learned this one, pretty simple, 5 o'clock. But as we move down, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, it would now be written 5:30. Okay, and this, Mom and Dad, might take some practice getting those numbers and remembering how it goes. Now, on your paper, you're also going to see, boys and girls, that they move and stop at the 3. And I'm going to count same way. 5, 10, 15. So if I was using my example of 5 o'clock, 5, 10, 15, would I say 5 o'clock like this? No, that doesn't make sense. it's not down to the 530 yet. If we counted it together, we would have said 5, 10, 15, and we would have stopped right there. 515. So when I write 515, you probably heard that first number, 5. I bet you guys can help me. What goes next? Yep, you're right. Dot, dot. I'm not going to put a 00 for o'clock. I'm not going to put a 30. It's not 5:30. It's 5:15. 15. Do you remember how to make a 15? It's in the teen family. Numbers in the teens, they start with 1. Whoops, that's not a very good one. Sorry about that. 1 and 15, remember, is a 5. So that would be 5:15. All right, let me show that again with my clock. We went from 5 o'clock, 5:15, there's that 5, 10, 15, and move down to 5:30. All right, and we're going to keep practicing. I know that's brand new, moving that minute hand, and Mom and Dad, don't expect mastery on that quite yet. We just started that. We had done telling time to the hour, but we had not moved that minute hand yet. And that can be a little confusing to them with all those numbers on there, all those lines and stuff. So just do it, just practice, practice, practice on that. When you move down to the bottom, again, same thing we've been working on all week, nickels and dimes, nickels and dimes. Nickels, how much is a nickel, boys and girls? You should be saying 5 cents, remember? And dimes, of course, 10 cents. Again, we talked about using real coins to kind of help if that confuses us. We're going to have to match up. First of all, we have to figure out how much it is. If it's a nickel, we're going to count by, you should be saying 5s, just like we learned to do. And I put a couple links on the Google Classroom where you can practice. You can do some exercises counting by 5s if you forgot how to count by 5s. And then, of course, dimes, counting by 10s. And then you get to decide which one. Remember, we're counting in money. We use the word cents. 40 cents, 15 cents. Mom and Dad, they know that C with a line is cents. So where brain is shifting from add up, addition, clocks, where we're telling time, to money. So all those skills all on that one page. Same thing on the back. Again, practice, practice, practice. Counting by 5s, adding up money. Make sure they're using words like cents. Add them up, addition, anything to kind of just keep practicing those addition skills. I know, clocks, and the number that comes before. Sometimes they need, we would do some examples of before numbers and after. If you can, maybe take a piece of paper. It's always good practice to remember. If I have the number 24, I have a space and a space. Maybe do some of these practice and what's going to come before. I mentioned the other day, a lot of times I talk about the water fountain line. Who's in front of you, who's behind you. We use words like before and after. Many times with kindergartners and age, it's just the words that we're using. You probably noticed just that verbiage might be a little different. I would say before. I would use the word after. Just like if we were talking about somebody, and I would compare that to who's in front of you, who's before you at the water fountain line, and then who is behind you, who's after you. Something to kind of help with those words, before and after numbers. And you can just write some different numbers, and they can practice telling you who's before and who's after. Again, kindergarten, you know your number families, you know all your numbers. Sometimes it helps Mom and Dad, if they need to stop and think about their number families, say, oh, the 20 family, what's the 20 family? And they should be able to tell you, 20 family, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. The number family, they all start with a 2. If they need to say that, maybe you need to write it out on a piece of paper. They need to visually see it and hear it. And that's okay too. We want to use all those senses when we're learning all those. So scraps a piece of paper and write that out, and they can look out. Also will help if they're trying to figure out what's before, what's after. And they can do that. They can write out their number family. They can take a piece of paper and they know how to write their 40 family, and then and you can kind of move around. There's the 40 family. Oh, there's 46. What comes before 46? What comes after? Those are just things we would do, a little extra practice. So continue to work on that, boys and girls. I know we've done these skills all week. The clock is our big new one. Keep practicing that. And I know you'll do your very best. Make sure you write your numbers neatly. Make sure your first and last name again at the top. We're using our pencil for writing, finger space. Make sure your numbers are faced the right way. The numbers are all over your paper, so don't put it in that pocket until...
You know you're not alone, I'm only